Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the GSA. Thank you for joining us on this online open day. We are really excited to have you with us and to have you find out a bit more about who we are and what we do here at the GSA. My name is Njilan Fal. I run Unit 7 together with Simpiwe Mlambo, Notando Lunga, and I also teach two of our support programs, Making and practice, and you'll find out more about those later. I do practice with Heather Dodd, who's here today with us, and Making with Tlolohelo Sasana and Marisa Villian. So thank you and welcome. Today's kind of a informal session for you to ask questions, find out more about the school. We have organized it in several sort of informative presentations by various members of staff, and they'll all introduce themselves as we get to each section. But I'll just run you through perhaps first what the GSA is. We are part of the University of Johannesburg, but we are specifically a graduate school of architecture. We're about 7 years old, and we were formed really to try and reimagine how we might teach architecture differently in South Africa, with an explicit focus on transformative pedagogy, experimental research, and preparing ourselves, the profession, the discipline, to think about how architecture should be practiced in a contemporary African setting, and what does that mean for us as African architects. So the GSA both has a master's program that does all the things that all the other master's programs around South Africa do in terms of preparing you for work in practice. But we also have a very explicit research focus. We look at researching into the architectural context in South Africa. And we also have a very vibrant and interesting public events program and lecture series, which for us promote discussion around what architecture means, what architecture should be now, and what it should be in the future. And the students that come here become part of those discussions. A big part of what we do is helping you to learn what your architectural voice is, how you might contribute to the debate, what kind of practitioner you want to be in the future, what kind of practitioner does South Africa and Africa need. So that's our kind of global view of architecture and who we are. We sit in as part allied to, for those of you who are at the Department of Architecture at the University of Johannesburg, we sit not too far away from your campus at the Johannesburg Business School. We have a whole floor here which has unit spaces, studio spaces, offices, and a making workshop. And we sort of also collaborate with industrial design and other departments at FADA. So we are both a postgraduate school, but also firmly part of the bigger faculty. And when you come here, you'll get to meet a lot of people from very diverse backgrounds. We have one of the most diverse staff and student body components of any master's program in South Africa, and something we're very proud of. And we're hoping that you will join us with your own thoughts, ideas, and views, and contribute to the bigger conversation around architecture. The structure for today is quite straightforward and simple. Right now, after I finish speaking, Polisi Makubu, who runs the Architectural History and Theory program here and also runs Unit 28, will take you through what the unit system is and means. That is also another thing that makes us, I guess, distinctive from the other master's programs, is that we teach you in a series of research units. There's about 9 of them. And then Kolisi will talk to you more about what that is. And he'll talk for about 5-10 minutes. And then we'll show you a video which gives you lots of information about what the units are, what the support programs are, what the life of the school is. You'll get to see and meet all the tutors, as if you like, on the video. And then after that, we'll ask you to come back to the meeting and we'll have a question and answer session. You can ask any questions you like about the program, about the support programs, about the masters. What does it mean to have a master's in architecture? What do we mean by transformative pedagogy? Anything and everything that you would like to ask us about the program, we're here to kind of assist with your questions. And then towards the end of that, Adeshni Reddy, who is our academic advisor, will talk to you about kind of application processes and any kind of academic and related questions around how do you actually apply, when do you expect to hear back, what's the process, etc. So on behalf of all the staff and the current students at the GSA, welcome to the GSA.
Thank you, Angela. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are delighted to have you join us. My name is Mkolisi Makubo, as Njelan has mentioned. I'm the convener of the Architectural History and Theory program here at the GSA. I also lead Unit 28, supported by Thandeka Mnguni and Mkolisi Ntshona. And that's not a joke, it's actually Mkolisi Ntshona. Thanks. Today, I'd like to briefly introduce you to the unit system, the pedagogical system underpinning our school's approach. Some of you might be familiar with the unit system, but I'll provide a conceptual outline for those of you who might not be. The unit system was established in the 1970s in the UK. The unit system approach allows our unit leads and tutors to present their research interests and methodologies to you, the student, at the start of each year. In return, you can showcase your skills, interests, and enthusiasm for joining the different units. This is then followed by a matchmaking process that ensures that students and supervisors' interests are aligned as much as possible. At the heart of our school's philosophy is a transformative pedagogy that places you, the student, at the center of the educational experience. This approach transforms students and academics and attempts to positively impact the communities from which we come from. It is both competitive and flexible, bridging the fast-paced world of architectural practice with our school's more experimental and reflective environment. This is done by ensuring that there's a good mix of practitioners who form an integral part of the teaching team. While we strive to match you with a unit that closely aligns with your interests, this doesn't guarantee you getting the unit of your first selection, although attempts have been made to ensure some alignments in all cases. As a GSA alumnus myself, I can attest to the system's benefits. During my honors year, I pursued a conceptually focused unit, and in my master's year, I shifted towards exploring the political dimensions of architecture. This flexibility allowed me to engage my creative and analytical sides. For further examples, this year, Unit 21 focuses on heritage, examining paper as a political and material artifact, while Unit 24 explores hybrid identities and their impact on aesthetic and architectural practices. These are examples from our 9 diverse units catering to honors and master's students. Each unit offers a unique perspective and learning experience, ensuring that you find a space to explore and develop your interests. Moreover, several key modules support our studio work. The Making module, headed by Angelan, emphasizes translating research into spatial and tectonic resolutions. The Architectural History and Theory module delves into the intersections of history, theory, and materiality in the built environments. Finally, the Practice module connects students with real-world practice and the regulatory landscape of the architectural profession. To help you better understand our units and modules, we've prepared a 22-minute video elaborating on the details. In case of any technical issues, we've provided a link to the video in the chat. Stay connected here to ask any questions you might have after watching. Even if you are disconnected or watch the video via the link, remain connected to Teams so that you are part of the questions and answers.
Every year, at the end of the academic year and at the beginning of the new academic year, as a community of practice, the teachers and staff, the Graduate School of Architecture meet to reflect upon the work that we've done in the year and to make plans and provide feedback to each other on the work that we're planning to do for the coming year. And we met this year in a number of locations. We met at Forum Homini, just outside Johannesburg, and we convened a session where unit staff presented their plans and their thinking for their themes for the units for the academic year 2024.
Unit 20 is a group of architectural storytellers. We are inspired by the idea of storytelling, and we employ film, animation, AR, AI. We employ a multidisciplinary sort of approach to design thinking and research.
The perfect student is someone that's willing to get a little bit more out of their master's degree and honors degree than just the piece of paper. So you have to be hardworking. You have to put in just the amount of time that is needed to get a quality project. And someone that's just determined and ambitious and really has a passion for architecture.
And it's been really exciting journey, a learning journey for us and also for the students. And last year particularly been really exciting, with a really exciting body of work, and so rewarding, with one of our students being awarded a first prize Coral Break Regional for UJ, which is quite exciting, and we're looking forward to see how he performs nationally.
As the title suggests, our name is Phantom Cartography. So if we had to break that down simply, so think of phantom, it's something that exists. We don't necessarily see it, but it is there. And then cartography, so the act of mapping that out. So in a way, how can we make the unmappable mappable? But at the same time, beyond mapping, we are interested in architectural propositions. This year's specific focus is on the Heritage Act and heritage buildings, but we'd also be interested in students' cultural identities, their position on it.
The Heritage Act is a piece of legislation that was published in 1999. It's a piece of legislation that architects have to engage with all the time, and it can pertain to a very broad range of subjects, not only an old building and what it looks like and how you can intervene with it, but also artifacts, places of deposits in the landscape, fragments of memories and stories. And it's very, very often perceived as a hindrance, which it sometimes is for large-scale development. So really, I think what we are hoping to do in this instance is really look at that piece of legislation and ask ourselves critically as a group of people, is it relevant? How relevant? Which aspects of it are relevant? Is it biased? If so, how do we address those biases? So we really are hoping to use the Heritage Act as a prompt for every student project where they get an opportunity to integrate and interact with that piece of legislation in a very, very meaningful way. And in a way, their projects almost become case studies of what you can and can't do in challenging that piece of legislation that can very, very often be considered as outdated, perhaps irrelevant, and definitely biased.
This year in Unit 23, we will be looking at legislation as myth, where we seek to challenge legislation as the absolute truth by interrogating our relationship to land.
We are looking for students who are inherently curious and diligent, students who are looking to explore the possibilities that architecture can unravel for them, students who are ready to explore the iterative and creative process of asking, researching, and asking again, researching, and making through speculation as well.
Unit 24 will continue its research into repositories of identity, which is centered around themes of the archive, and which challenges the historical dominance of Western perspectives in archiving colonized territories. Last year, Unit 24 researched Senegal as a site of study, and students developed their projects around the term digante, which is a Wolof term for a middle condition. And then this year,
we are still working with the essence of a middle condition in Angola,
But this year, we're shifting gears a little. We're talking to a collective identity as opposed to an individual identity that we solely focused on last year. And so I think this year will be a mixture of both. But it's also why we've termed the unit National Reserve, this idea of national and reserve, and then the title as a whole and what that means. And we've defined that as a designated space to preserve, reserve,
Conserve
conserve,
an endemic or threatened natural or cultural heritage.
Unit 28 is kind of interested in students starting to think deeply about the things that we take for granted, and there's a lot of we have what is called an architectural canon, and it is taken for granted that everyone agrees that it's a site that is read the same way. But what we argue is that actually that architecture, because of it's highly political, and we kind of emerged from a society that was separated by race, gender, etc., then that architecture starts to kind of replicate those kind of patterns of society. So the unit is kind of interested in a deep reading of the architectural canon in trying to imagine a future.
I think it's also about understanding the continuous growth of Johannesburg, that it's not a very stagnant city. It's constantly moving, constantly changing with the people that are coming in. And those people change how the infrastructure is. So we are asking that students look at the now and the there, and it's start to look at how these infrastructures have changed across time.
And many times we look at our challenges, whether in Johannesburg, as if it's conditions that are happening in Johannesburg. But our exploration will unveil or look at or explore that, the similar challenges are happening in other parts of the country. They are happening in other parts of the continent, because the similar kind of superimposition of colonial system applied to the whole country. So part of what we'll be tackling is not just a solution for Johannesburg, but it's an approach that could generally explore throughout the rest of the continent.
When we think about the cities, African cities that we live in, we occupy, we work in, oftentimes as architects, the way that we think about these cities, the way that we understand them, are coming from a kind of Western model of what a city should be like. And so in this unit, we're particularly interested in learning how to read our cities better and differently. And then as architects, learning how to operate within that in a more effective way, both to read and then do what we call writing the city as an architect. The work of the unit this year is situated within a bigger research project that we're undertaking in collaboration with the Universidade Lusaida in Angola. The architecture school there, honors and master's students at the same level, but also with Professor Antonio Tomas, who's at the University of California, Irvine, who's recently completed a book on Angola called In the Skin of the City. He was with us at the GSA, so he's very familiar with our ways of working. So as a unit, we're working with these collaborators, and we're each going to be thinking about how to read and write the city differently. And the work of the unit at the end of the end of 2024 and into 2025 will be the subject of an exhibition that will be hosted in a building that we will visit, and that the university in Luanda will host, and we will be part of the design of the exhibition and the hosting of the work. So it's a real opportunity for students not only to work in collaboration with others, but for their research work to form part of a kind of critical exhibition and reflection on a city, another African city, and to begin to get used to the idea of disseminating and exhibiting their work as creative practitioners.
We love to eat in this unit. Food is our core, it's our center, it's why we are who we are. So if you love to eat and if you can cook, we'd really appreciate you.
So last year was an interesting year. We also were focused around terrains of water and architecture and that intersection. But for some reason, we were very focused on the functionalist, almost scientific, engineering-based problems and problem-solving issues. And so this year we're turning it on its head. So we're going to be a lot more explorative. We're going to be a lot more evocative. We're going to be a lot more fun and loose and experimental. So this year we're going to be employing a series of workshops relating to experimental model building, which is something both Bontle and I are very passionate and love, but also the ingress and implementation of computational, generative, and technological design methodologies are going to be important for us this year. We're going to be free and open with how we teach students that and train students, integrate those skill sets into their own creative vocabularies. And then we're going to ground all of this research through these two experimental and explorative sort of frames of working at the VAL. So we are, again, going to be around a terrain of water. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go there with our drone and our virtual reality headset, and we're going to go rowing, and we're going to just immerse, excuse the pun, ourselves in the VAL.
If you're a student and you are interested in delving into the unique challenges that are posed around water-centric environments, and you have a unique or exciting ways or visual approach to how you analyze things, how you explore, and how you uncover your research topics, then we are looking for you. We are looking for that student, whether it's through sketches, physical models, videos, or any other approach. I think that's the type of student we are looking for.
Unit 15X has predominantly been known as the Pan-African unit. We are fascinated with what is the African identity in architecture and what is an African architecture. And we constantly like to encourage our students to sort of bring themselves and their own cultures and their own heritage when they come to us and when they think about what architecture could be for the future.
I think we're looking for students that are willing to have difficult conversations. Conversations about where they come from, about who they are, about the impacts of the spaces they come from in how they relate and create architecture. In the past, that's something that's been quite strong in our students, their ability to tell stories, their ability to use their memory, the understanding of ritual, of home, of belonging in creating architecture.
Unit 17's always had this kind of focus on making, on realizing concepts. And in fact, one of the big ideas this year is to kind of lead with making. So to make something and then use that object, to interrogate that object and use that object as the progenitor of concepts, of ideas, of theory. So action leads theory. Making comes in advance of theory.
We're exploring this idea of working as a unit because that's how the real world operates. So we wanted to empower students to the conditions of the real world. Making has always been at the core of Unit 17. So if you're a student who likes thinking through your hands or through your making of things, then Unit 17 is definitely the unit for you.
So whichever unit you end up in at the GSA, you may not get your first choice unit, and you may get your third choice unit. The intention is that you immerse yourself in the themes and the ideas that unit presents to you. If you're an honours student, you're invited to experiment, to understand what the process of research is, to learn how to research. And when you're an M2 student, the idea is that you then produce a body of research. And your work will be derived from or based upon or based around the themes of the unit, but it will be your work. So whatever you invest in your own work through the work of the unit will reflect in the outcome and the output of the work that you produce. But it provides a diversified a wide range of interests, preoccupations and motivations that allows you to test your own thoughts, your own ideas in developing your own creative potential and your own understanding of your own practice in architecture.
Hi, I'm Jelan Fowl. I'm an architect and an urbanist. I've spent many years in practice before joining the GSA and done lots of buildings, from houses to offices, and lots of interesting work, heritage work. So I guess I come to making with a long trajectory in practice, but with a desire to extend the transformative ethos of the GSA to a real transformation in how we make and produce architecture in South Africa. And
I'm Marisa Louise Villian, and I completed my master's in 2022, and I'm an alumnum of Unit 21. I have a BSc in Consumer Sciences, so for me it's very important to bring science to architecture and how we can experiment in architecture to iteratively test and understand the design through that background. I'm also a candidate architect practicing, and I specialize in business development.
Hi everyone, my name is Tlogela Sasana. I graduated from Tshwane University of Technology. I also lecture there part-time. And I also have my own design studio, but we also manufacture a lot of furniture. We've exhibited at Decorex, and so that's the experience I'm bringing into the making studio.
so we're very excited this year. For those of you who were here in your M1 year, you would have seen this space under construction for about a year, and it will be launched this year, and we're very excited to have it. I think that even in the way that it looks and it's set out, we want you to feel that this is a space that students own. This is a space within the GSA that you can come and experiment and just mess around with materials. But I think it's a really important part of your time here. That's why it's located within walking distance of your studio. And we really want to encourage you all to be in here, inhabit it, make your own space and really use it.
It's important that whatever skill you set out to develop in the beginning of the year, to understand that we as a team are here to support you and to guide you along the journey. And that's very important for us, is to offer that support.
For me, like, this is also a space where you can explore your own internal curiosities. You know, you can see what it means to bring something to fruition from mind to literally hand. So I think come with that curiosity and let's see what happens.
Hi, my name is Mgolisi Makubo, unit lead for Unit 28 and also the AHT convener. I'm interested in the subtle politics of architecture.
My name is Heidi Liu, and I am the AHT assistant and co-lead of Unit 24. I have a personal interest in the middle space and in studying the processes, procedures, and methodologies that contribute to post-colonial diasporic identities. Architectural history and theory focuses on an extensive range of broader and adjacent topics to architecture. We will read architecture together with film, orality, urbanity, and infrastructure. The course will be both an introduction to traditional architectural history and theories, as well as contemporary readings and voices. And we aim to read these in conjunction with each other to understand how architecture can be political.
So we imagine that a student who comes into architectural history and theory this year would be moving from kind of understanding the theory that's in place, the canonical theory in place, and for the first time they'll be interrogating the theory and understanding it in context in relation to all other media that was helping produce a particular status quo.
Hi, my name is Guy, and I'm an associate professor at the GSA. I will be coordinating the Advanced Design Research program and also looking after the PhD and MArch DTP post-professional programs. So it's really about keeping an overview, or a kind of sense of the work that's being produced at the GSA, and understanding how best it can be disseminated, packaged, published, and shared with the world.
Hi, my name is Denise Fashir and I'm the Senior Operations Manager at the GSA. I manage all the human resourcing, funding and budgets of the GSA, but primarily I manage a team of operations staff who deal with each portfolio separately in terms of their interface with students.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabisile Mahlangu and I'm the Administrative Assistant at the GSA. Some of my responsibilities include venue booking and managing of the venues, equipment booking, and also the travel portfolio for local trips for both staff and students.
Hi everyone, I'm Adeshni Reddy, the Academic Admin Manager for the GSA, and I take care of all matters related to the student's life cycle, such as admission, registration, graduation and examination.
Hi everybody, I'm Leslie Ince-Garcia. I am the Senior Executive Administrator. I also deal with special projects. From my side, I will assist Prof. Mark Raymond with administration. I will assist with travel logistics, and there will also be some communication from the Director's Office coming your way.
Hi, I'm Waitumela Mazbuka and I'm the GSA's Events, Exhibition and Social Media Manager. So I manage the GSA's brand and also the public programs, student exhibitions, and any academic events that we have at the school.
Okay, so welcome back. I hope that you've all managed to have a look at the video that we've prepared, and it's given you some insight into the unit system and the different units that are on offer at the school. My name is Mark Raymond and I'm the Director of the Graduate School of Architecture, and I'm responsible for the academic leadership and direction of the school. A couple of things before we move ahead. We have a website, and I know that the details of that are going to be provided in the chat. So you might want to check in the chat, and I'll remind you of this at the end. And you can, access information about the school there. But there, I'm seeing that there are a few hands up, and this is great. This is the time to ask questions. I'm seeing that Tukozo Lutu has a question. So if you want to unmute and ask your question, then we'll be happy to answer them. And in this session, any questions you have, just put your hand up, and Khaleesi, myself, or Angelan, or Adeshni, who is the Academic Administration Manager at the GSA, will do our best to try to respond to your questions. So let's start with Tukozo. Would you like to share your question with us? Unmic and share your question.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hello.
I'm not so sure if I'm the only one who didn't see the video playing. It was just quiet.
Okay, so we had invited you at the beginning of this, after we'd done the initial verbal introductions, to go to the YouTube link that we'd provided in the chat so that you could look at the video. But the link is still in the chat, so if you want to copy it and paste it to your own browser, then you'll be able to watch it afterwards, and that will give you some oversight and some idea of the type of work we do. I hope everybody else managed to see it. If you didn't, it's not a big deal.
Okay. Thank you.
Waitumela will post it in the chat, and you'll be able to have a look at it. She's posted it in there now. It's called GSA Presentations and Unit Selections 2024. So you can have a look at that. Are there any other questions? I'm seeing that there's a question in the chat saying, can you please explain how the unit selection process works? That's a good question. I'm going to ask Engelan, perhaps you can respond to that and explain how the process works to the uninitiated.
Yeah, so the process works really quite straightforwardly. When you arrive in your first week at the GSA, we give you a guide that tells you all about the different programs and different units, and in it there'll be a short text from each unit that describes who the tutors are, their backgrounds, and it'll also talk about the kind of research that each unit is doing and looking at. And if you watch the video, you'll see there's quite a wide variety of themes that each of the units look at. That will then be followed in the first or second week by a series of presentations by each unit. So each unit will sort of give a 20-minute presentation, and then you have an opportunity to ask the tutors questions. And I think that then gives you a good sense of what each unit does. Based on that, we have a sort of selection form, and you list your preferred units in order of preference, 1, 2, and 3. And then based on that, you have an interview session with the unit where you get to ask them individual questions. They also get to know you a little bit better. And if possible, if the unit really likes you and that's your first choice, then you'll be in that unit. Otherwise, you might be in your second or third choice. We can't guarantee your choice, but we try our best to make sure that you get at least one of your top 3. So that process takes about a week and a half. So by the end of the second week, your second week with us at the beginning of the year, you know what unit you're in. And each unit typically has about 14 students. And it's a mix of honors and masters. So if you're fresh in the honors year, you don't need to be nervous because there's a kind of few seasoned master students around that you can always lobby for more information in the first week. So I hope that's answered your question.
Thanks, Engelan. And I think that point, the unit system gives you choice. It gives you a diversity of choices. And many people don't get their first unit and have a fantastic time. They may end up in a unit that they might not have thought of going to, and like it so much, they stay in that unit. And another important point, something that people often ask, is if I'm in one unit, so I'm in Engelan's unit, Unit 7, as an honors student, and then I graduate to the master's program, do I need to stay in Engelan's unit? You don't have to. Many students choose to stay in the unit they're in the first year, but some move. Some prefer to go to another. So somebody might move to Engelan's unit. This year, Elise had a new unit, and so many people wanted to go to his unit. So there's a lot of musical chairs going on, and that adds to the experience of the process. Okay, there's another question in the chat. Let me read it. Okay, Joy says, hello, is there a makerspace in the department? And what type of technology is it equipped with? Well, that's a interesting question. We have a number of makerspaces in the faculty, but again, I think that's something that Engelan can speak to. She's the making and practice convener, so she's best placed to respond to
that. Hi, Joy. So in terms of the GSA, we are part of FADA, which is I don't know if you're familiar with UJ, but it's the art, design, and architecture faculty. And it has a number of workshops. So FADA has a kind of Fab Lab space, which is 3D printing, robotics, laser cutting, that sort of thing. Then it also has a full-on wood shop and metal shop and a ceramic studio. So those spaces are available to all students once they've completed an induction and a health and safety briefing. Here at the GSA, we have a making studio, which is a space which mostly has tools for hand making. That is open to students at any time. In the process of fitting it with all the equipment, so by the time you come here next year, it should be fitted out as an entry-level makerspace where you can make models and simple things. And if you need sort of heavy machinery, you would do that at FADA. And if you need sort of laser cutting outsourced, then we also have the makerspace at the Doornfontein campus of UJ, where you can send things to be cut So there's several options around makerspaces within UJ and FADA.
Hope that answered your question, Joy. I'm seeing that Leslie has her hand up. Would you like to share your question with us?
Thank you so much. This is a really informative session. I'd like you to please explain the application process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. So Adeshni Neka is the Academic Administration Manager, and I think she's probably the best placed to speak to the process of application. Adeshni, perhaps you'd like to share some insight into that.
Sure. Thank you, Mark. So welcome, Leslie. So basically, students will apply via online application using the university application portal. The system is quite self-explanatory. It's a step-by-step process, but if you encounter any challenges, you're welcome to email me, and I will connect you with the relevant departments to resolve any obstacles. So once we receive your application, your complete application, it's normally sent to the faculty if it has the correct documentation. Thereafter, we will initially do a vetting of your application and send you a letter that contains the interview requirements. So the interview requirements is a portfolio for the GSA, and we also have something called an assignment, which takes the format of a video. Once students submit that information, I will arrange an interview for you with a member of our teaching staff. And then 3 to 2 weeks from that date of the interview, you should receive a decision. If you have completed your studies, if you're currently still a student and still due to complete your studies, you'll only receive a decision towards the end of the year once your results are finalized.
Thanks, Adeshni. So we have a lot of applicants, but we interview every single applicant. If you apply here, we will interview you. And we put a lot of emphasis on the portfolio and the video that you make so we get to know. We don't have a lot of time to interview everybody, but everybody gets 15 or 20 minutes, and it's an opportunity for you to share your motivations, your preoccupations. And we're more concerned with that than we are with grades. I mean, there is a threshold for grades, but we want to know about you, who you are, what's motivating, what's interesting you to come here, what you think you're bringing to the school, so we get a feel for your approach and your motivation. I'm seeing that there's another question from Joy, and before I say that, just to also let you know, we're going to share Adeshni's email at the end of this session. And if any of you have any questions, I see that Boitamela has just said, if you've got any questions about admissions or about applying, email Adeshni. She knows everything about that, and she'll be happy to help you and point you in the right direction. And if you apply to the school, she will be the one that guides you through the process and through the different processes of applying. Now I want to go back to Joy and her second question. And she said, what is the approximate student lecture ratio? Well, we have approximately 25 lecturers, and we have 120 students this year in our joint program. So it's about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 that it boils down to. Some units have 2 tutors, they have 2 co-leads, some have 3, and there are different configurations, but it's a very high ratio in terms of the benefit to the student. You know, you'll get very good attention from your tutors and from the unit leaders. And then, of course, you have the supporting programs, making, architectural history and theory and practice, that are run like discrete programs around the main studio work. But students do get a lot of attention, a lot of face-to-face time with tutors. It's a very intense program, and it relies on that type of engagement. It can't just be Joy that has the questions. I'm sure some of you have some questions. If you're too shy to speak, that's fine. Although it would be nice to see you and to hear your voice, so don't feel bashful. But if you don't feel up to that, then feel free to just put a question in the chat and we can answer it. Nishka, Kesa, let's see you and let's hear your question. Nishka?
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
So would you recommend from going from degree to honors do you recommend doing that, or do you recommend getting an internship first and then doing your honors the year after? Like, what's your take on that?
I think we've probably all got opinions on that. I'm going to hand that one to Khaleesi to see what his reflection on that is. Maybe you can answer that. Unmute your mic. You're muted.
Hi, Nishka. Thanks for the question. It's a tricky question, but I think it depends on each individual's scenario. You know, although it's always beneficial to go have some experience, some people have chosen paths that do not go that way, and that is also fine. I think it's per individual, although the school supports either scenario. So it would be difficult to give you advice, generally speaking, although I think it's also beneficial to have some experience, but although not necessary.
Yeah, I think if I can speak,
I hope that helps some.
If I can also speak to that, you know, I think traditionally, the way that architecture programs have been structured, the idea is that after your first 3 years, you know, you've developed a fundamental understanding of the principles of the practice of architecture, and it's good then to go out and experience it, you know, to get a sense of what it's like and to start learning and seeing things built and going on site if that's what you're interested in doing. But as Khaleesi said, that's not always possible for some people for a variety of reasons, economic reasons, all sorts of reasons. So I think it is up to you. I would say it's preferred, but it's certainly not something that is obligatory for us. Angeline, I don't know if you want to share your thoughts on that. It's quite an important question.
Yeah, I think I would agree with what Mark and Khaleesi have said. I think if you can do it, I think it is good for you personally, just I think for your own personal development. But I certainly don't think that it affects or reduces kind of your ability to do well in your master's. I think that if you don't do it, you'll still be fine. But if you can do it, do it.
Great, thank you. I took 3 years out, by the way, and I'm glad I took 3 years out, but it's different for everybody. So we have another question from Tokozo. Would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Okay, the first question that I want to ask is, normally in universities, they have a portfolio requirement in order to get an admission in a university. Others, they want you to submit a 20-page portfolio where you need to explain the type of work you did in practice and your final year projects in varsity as well, right? So I want to know, what is UJ expecting in the portfolio submission? And the second question that I wanted to ask is, let's say a person has, let's say, a vast working experience, but their undergraduate results are not as good, but the amount of work they gained is like exceptional, and they use the working experience to bridge the gap. Will they be accepted for honors? Will they look at the work experience or the undergraduation results?
I think you just sold yourself there, Tokozo, into, you know, speaking about the quality of your work. I'm going to let Khaleesi answer that and respond to that.
I think that's a great question. We were actually having a discussion about this a few days ago. Generally, the school has minimum requirements for undergrad. However, and this is crucial, experience is what the school generally has prioritized, because not everyone will kind of have the same trajectory in undergrad. So there's a kind of emphasis on students who kind of are working and are motivated. And if there's evidence of that in your experience gained post-qualifying, we definitely consider that. It requires motivation to the university, but it's definitely something we work with.
Yeah, I think we're really looking for diversity, Tokozo. You know, we're looking for a diverse range of students with diverse experiences. You know, we welcome students that have excelled academically in their undergraduate programs, but we've also had a large number of students who had fairly poor undergraduate grades, but because of their experience and their motivation, really excelled here. You know, so that's why we interview every student, so we can hear you speak, we can hear your passion, your motivation, your preoccupations from you, and engage in a conversation about it. And also, just to be clear, the interview is not a kind of interrogation. It's a conversation. It's an opportunity for you to share your work. And coming back to your first question, yes, we do ask for a portfolio. And as Adeshni pointed out, we also ask for a short video. I think it's a 1-minute video, Adeshni, is that correct? So you have a minute to explain yourself. And some people are quite creative with that in terms of how. So it gives us a sense of who you are. We're much more interested in you, your curiosity, your desire to be here, rather than what might be recorded about your history. You know, of course, we have to satisfy basic academic requirements, but beyond that, we're more interested in you as a person and what you will bring to the school. We know what we can offer you. We want to know what you're going to bring to the community here. Do we have any other questions? I'm sure there must be some people that have some questions. Don't be shy. This is a good opportunity for you to ask. As I said afterwards, if you still formulating a question or you don't want to ask it in this forum, you can contact Adeshni. And then also, just to let you know, this 1-hour open day session is going to be recorded. It will have integrated into it the video, and that will be available online. So you'll be provided with that so that you can, you know, listen to this again. You can look at the unit proposals again. And if you have any questions, drop us a line. If you're in Johannesburg, if you're not from Johannesburg, whether you live here or not, come and visit us. Come and have a look around. We're at 69 Kingsway, Auckland Park. It's near the two main UJ campuses. It's in the old Media 24 building. Please contact Adeshni. Let us know you're coming. I'll meet you. Angelam will meet you. Elise will meet you. You know, we'll engage with you. We want to show you around. So feel free to contact us if you want to come and visit or attend some of our events. And also look at our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, because we have a lot of public events. We have lectures taking place, and you're welcome to attend the online lectures. We're about to start kick off a series of 8 practice lectures. We have some international lecturers coming. And importantly, in the last week of August, we have what we call Architecture Week. And during Architecture Week, we invite practitioners from South Africa and also international practitioners to come to the school to review the work of all the students. And every single student presents their work over the course of a week to these many reviewers. It's a really exciting time. It's a good chance for you to see the sort of work that students here are producing, to meet the tutors, and to get a feel of the atmosphere of the school and how we operate. You're welcome to come to that. And we also operate an open day, a physical open day, during that week. It was very successful last week, and you're welcome to come to that to get, you know, a closer view and get to experience the school. And, you know, feel free to invite your friends, your peers, your colleagues to join you. Adeshni's got you on the mailing. We'll have you on a mailing list now, so she will share that information with you. But you're welcome to come. Another question is, does the GSA have connections with the other architecture schools in South Africa and abroad? Yes, we do. I can speak to the ones abroad, and then perhaps I'll ask Lisi to speak to the local ones, because I know that there's a lot of interaction with other schools. Internationally, we're just about to finish signing a memorandum of understanding with Kingston School of Art, their architecture school, which is quite similar to our school, in that it's located within a faculty of art and design. Some architecture schools are independent, some are part of the engineering faculties. Ours is part of an art and design faculty, so is Kingston. So we have a good relationship with them. We're developing a relationship with Pratt Institute in New York, and we had connections in the last year with Botswana. Engelan, I'm going to ask you also to speak to maybe the work you did in Angola, in Luanda this year. So yeah, we absolutely have active international engagement. So maybe I'm going to ask Angeline to speak to the work she did in Angola, and then Felicia, you could speak to our relationship to South African schools.
Yeah, so the work that we did in Angola is also part of a kind of GSA focus historically over the years at building connections with other African countries and particularly Southern Africa region. So for example, we've had units, Unit 15X was in Botswana last year. We've had units go to Uganda. And there are 2 units, it's Unit 7 and Unit 24, that went to Angola this year. And we are sort of building a collaboration with the University of Lusaida in Luanda, and also with Professor Antonio Tomas, who was with us previously, but is now at the University of California in Irvine. So we're not just keen on kind of South African or international, but also continental, like Pan-African links as well.
Thanks, Angeline. And to add to that, so there's various ways that the school engages with other practitioners. Some of the ways are that some of the teaching staff here also teaches in different institutions, including WITS, TUT, and University of Pretoria. Additionally, some of us, myself included, are examiners in those institutions. So we do build a lot of bridges across the universities in the country. And we've had several guests in the different units who visited from who also run courses in other universities. Brendan Hart was here, Sechaba Mape, who's also at WITS. So we are definitely like proactively engaging different universities across the country. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we're keen to do more of that. You know, we see ourselves as a community of practice existing within a broader community of practice of learning in architecture. So we're really interested in what's happening at other schools, what we can learn from other schools, and also sharing the work we do here. And I see that Boitumelo has responded to Freddie, saying, can we chat with Adesh to other forms of, no, that's not. Freddie said, are you going to have any physical open day anytime? Yeah. So as I mentioned, during Architecture Week, which is the last week of August, I think it begins the 26th of August, but whichever date it starts, it's the last week of August. We have a week of events with critics coming from many places to look at the work of the students, and we will be hosting an open day during that week that you will be invited to attend. So that's the last week of August. We'll have our second in-person open day. And as I mentioned, this will be recorded as well. So if you want to share it or look at it again, you'll be able to review this as a video at your convenience. Can we chat with Adeshni through other forms of social media, i.e. WhatsApp? I'm not sure how happy Adeshni will be about giving her WhatsApp number. I would try her with email first, or come and see her, and then perhaps if you're nice to her, she might share her WhatsApp details. But I would, in the meantime, let's rely on email or coming to see her in person. I know she's very good at responding, so you know, she's reliable and you'll be able to get responses. Or I think, you know, you could call her. She'll be able to provide you details that would allow you to call her on the landline. Okay, I think we're out of time now, but if there are any other questions before we sign off, do let me know. We'll try and answer them. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody that hasn't asked anything? This is a chance to either put your hand up and we can hear your voice, or you could type it in the chat. I think we've got a chance for one more if there are any more questions. Okay. Good. Well, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have hosted you and shared a little bit about the work we're doing. As I said, this will be recorded, so you'll be able to access it online and review it. You can come back to the Architecture Week Open Day. And in the chat is the website. We're going to post the website, so you can have a look at the website. And then also Adeshni's email, and you can contact her with any questions about enrollment, registration, application, and all the rest of it. And don't be fearful about the interview. It's just an opportunity to have a conversation, to share what your interests are, and also to ask questions. You might have questions, very specific questions you want to ask us. That's what we want the interview to be about, kind of getting to know each other so that we can make a good decision about your future. But thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see some of you in person at the open day, and I hope this was useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.